Welcome back, dear viewers. As we said earlier that in our second segment for today, we are going to Egyptian-Indian relations and the means of enhancing cooperation between the two countries. As President al-Sisi will begin an official visit to India on the 1st of September. During his visit, he is expected to hold talks with the top Indian officials. And to shed light on this issue, we are joined here in the studio with Ambassador Dr. محمد الحسينى. He's the Director in the United Nations Association. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Husseini. Dr. Husseini, as the President is going to start a visit to India, how do you evaluate the Egyptian-Indian trade and economic relations?
First, I want to congratulate President al-Sisi for this visit and all our prayer that it will be succeed and the goals that we are aiming to have in the investment sector. And for the Indo-Egypt agreement that have started in 1978 and take a different shapes because we can say that Egypt and India are the similar examples when it's come to the investment and the economical development. That in the two countries they have three majority when it's come to the cooperation in the political, in the economical and the culture. When we take it as a step or a stage that the Egypt and India agreements in 2011-2012 have been increased from, let's say, an impressive rate up to 33%. And the value, it was from $3.17 billion, it had been increased in 2012 up to $4.35 billion. That increase have come in the foreign trade and in different categories when it's come to the Indian to Egypt. But this is not the core of this visit. The core of this visit is President al-Sisi is trying to show to the Indian investors and the Indian governments that we have a lot of potential opportunities. These potential opportunities, how the Indian investors come to the Gulf region as what we can consider or what we can see in UAE or in the 6 countries to the Gulf region. They have more than $150 billion. In UAE they have 50,000 companies. In Egypt they have 50 companies. You can see the gap. The gap, it come in which shape? In Jebel Ali Free Zone, this is where the most of the Indian investors is in Dubai. They are coming in the import and export, in the real estate, in the information technology, in the programming industry. All this kind of business lines and business methods they are using. UAE have provide for them, it's look like the infrastructure from the government to the investor, that everything is easy for them. We are in Egypt now, how we can approach those investors. We have the major project, what we are always talking about, it's Suez Canal. Because Suez Canal, historical wise, me as an investor, if you talk to me and I'm in the Gulf region, if I have a branch for my company or a manufacturing place to me in the Suez Canal, the new Zone Corp, that I'm already controlling the MENA, the Middle East and North Africa, because from the Gulf, you are controlling the East, and in the West, that Egypt controlling Europe and Africa and the rest of the world. So, logistic-wise, we have with them a long relation. Economical-wise, we have with them grown in the past 5 years. We have also, when it's come to the trade, we have an important export measurement between Egypt and India, because we imported to India products and they export for us products. We import for them the marbles, the raw cotton, the seeds, the phosphate, the rocks, the medical equipments. We have a lot of agriculture kinds of products that we are also exporting to India. And we are importing for them mineral products, and we are importing for them the sesame seeds, we are importing for them the meats, and a lot of food and beverage products as well.
So, sir, how can we benefit from an experience in the field of small and medium enterprises?
this we can consider it as the most important question. We can give it to the group of advisors who was President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Why? Because the Indian example they had did for the medium and small enterprise, the government first, they make a committee and a council for supporting the medium and small enterprise, in which line they give them a protection, a full protection for the what you call it as a zone corp, that this committee is having all the decisions and rules and regulation to support those small investors. The medium enterprise in India, you can categorize in the scale of $750,000. This is as a capital of investment. And for the small enterprise, it's measured in $65,000. Those two capital of investment, yes. This is how you define he is a small or medium enterprise. Those have target in India 17 million laborers, manpower, and which already create 17 million jobs. And they have increased by 11.3% in the national income and the avenue to the country in the last 3 years. And it's bring to the country as well, to India, $22 billion in the last half of the financial year in India. So if we target that, we can change the mentality to us to approach and also promote to the holding companies and the big investors. Why? Because if you target, as what they did in the Gulf region, if you target the small and the medium enterprise, you need to give them something like a new financial system. Because the banks in Egypt, the same story in India, because in India, we are talking about same story to tell. There is no difference between Egypt and India. But now they have developed and they have changed the financial system of the banks for the overgrant. They are giving the loans, the financial to the project and to the small companies. Because basically, if you are a small company and you wanted to expand or you wanted to explore, and if you make a research about the holding group of companies, how they start, they didn't start by a big amount of investment. They small, but they have taken a support from them government. Yes. So we need to do that in which way? We need to change our tax, and we already did that in Suez Canal and Suez Sea Zone and some particular investment spots in Egypt by changing the rate of the tax percentage. The second point is for the banks here in Egypt, we need to make a new regulation and rules and how those companies, when they come with the investment, they can increase the investment by a new line of loans and new financial in the equipments and a lot of stuff. They are targeting in the Suez Canal, the Indian investor, they are targeting the petrochemical industries. Yes. They are targeting the chemical industries. They are targeting the car manufacturing. They are targeting a lot of line of investment industries in Suez Canal. How we can benefit from them in the example? We can look to this mid and small enterprise have added to the turnover to the country 11.3% in the national income. Meaning, if I give a space from the big manufacturing and the big industrial lines to the small and the mid, meaning I'm making a new line of competition, and that will me as a government or a corp, what will be my role in that particular line? It's I will for those in India, those small manufacturing or small industrial investors, what they have did for them, they did for them. For example, you are manufacturing glass or whatever. Those type we will not import it from other country, so the competition will be less by, and we encourage those products in the local market. Indeed. This is one of the major points in how we can benefit from the experience to the mid and small enterprise. Another thing they did is Make in India, which I have give a brief before about that. Make in India, we have in Egypt, we are struggling in a certain problem, which is the currency, the dollar. Yeah. The dollar, the majority of the dollar in Egypt is when you seek dollar coming to you from abroad. Forget the Suez Canal, the fees of the shippings. No, we are talking about Make in India, they have target by the natural resources they have target majors products, small and medium and big. And they try to promote that and target that in the countries in need of those products, look like in the Middle East. We have the same situation with them.
Yes.
So if we take Make in India and we support the small investors, not just from India, from the rest of the world, we can increase the limit of made in Egypt and bringing up a new currency to the country.
So, sir, we'll go for a short break. As dear viewers, we have a report on the Egyptian-Indian relations.
Are two of the world's oldest civilizations that have enjoyed a history of close contacts from ancient times. In modern times, at the beginning of the 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi and Saad Zaghloul shared common goals on the independence of their countries, a relationship that was to blossom into an exceptionally close friendship between Gamal Abdel Nasser and Jawahar Nehru, leading to a friendship treaty between the two countries in 1955. The non-aligned movement led by Nehru and Nasser was a natural this relationship. India has been one of Egypt's most important trading partners in the Asian continent. The Indo-Egypt bilateral trade agreement, operative since March 1978, and based on the standard most favored nation clause involving free trade and foreign exchange, the bilateral relations between the two countries have three pillars, which are political, economic, and cultural exchanges. More than 50 Indian companies operate in Egypt with a total investment of $2.5 billion, making a diverse range of products from PVC to seeds development. No Indian company has left Egypt since the January 25th. There are new Indian investments in Egypt as they seek to expand their economic engagement. They recently inaugurated a vocational training center here in Egypt, and they are looking forward to start their next development project, which is a center of excellence in information technology at Al-Azhar University. Indian ties are based on security, economic, and cultural cooperation. The two countries seek to further promote ties which will have an impact on the whole region. As the Egyptian economy gears up for a revitalized role in the country's development process, it is time for India and Egypt to chart a fresh map of cooperation and create a win-win scenario for each other.
Viewers, back to our interview here with Dr. Mohammed Al-Husseini. Dr. Mohammed, to what extent it is important to attract Indian investors and how they are representing a real importance to come and invest in Egypt?
Indian investors, they are smart investors. When you categorize them in the investors worldwide, you can put them in the rank 4 or 5, and they are big investors. When they come to any country, they expand and they bring connections from them country to go on all the lines of investment. How you can approach them is you can first what you will promote to them. Now, President Abdel Sisi, when he is going, he will meet the Prime Minister and he will meet some of the leaderships there in the business line. And they will, of course, they will talk in different topics. One of them is talking about the economic development between the two countries. They will talk about the tourism and how Egypt is fighting that. And they will talk also about security of the energy and the climate change, which is India already have played an important role of that. Because now the 21st century have been a change when we talk about the powerful countries. We are talking about Asia and India, in Asia, they call it the advisor, the economical advisor. They said the 21st century is the century for the Asian giants, which is India and China. India and China, they have a big kind of competition when it's come to the industry, when it's come, you are talking about the billions of people. And they are targeting the MENA, the Middle East and North Africa. Why? Because Middle East and North Africa, in specific, when we talk about Dubai, Morocco, Egypt, those three spots or those three countries, they have a logistic strategic location, especially Egypt in the center. So why they will target Egypt? They will target Egypt because The retail business, when we talk about this Lulu supermarkets or Azadiya groups or this kind of groups in the retail, they like 650 branches worldwide, and they are targeting Egypt because you have over than 81 million population in the market. People is buying, people is eating, and they have the franchising, one of the biggest franchising agencies there in India. Now they are targeting Egypt because they succeed in the Gulf, and they study the market here, and they find the people. We are the same to the Gulf community. We don't have a difference when it's come to the buying and selling and eating foods. And so they are targeting the retail business in a huge numbers now. This is one of the things. And there was, look like KM Group and Landmark Group, they have already announced that they are targeting to open in Egypt a lot of branches in the next 2 years. They are targeting the car manufacturing because they are manufacturing cars already there. But they are targeting that in the manufacturing zone, Suez Canal. And they are targeting also inside Suez Canal. And why they are targeting Suez Canal? Because they can find that after President Fattah al-Sisi announced the 330 law for changing the Suez Canal to a zone corp, it's already have a centralized rules and regulation to the investors. It's the same to what's happening in Jebel Ali. So they are coming now to open up branches from them companies by going to visiting President Fattah al-Sisi to them. He's showing to them that he have did in the country in the last 2 years, which is already impressive. This man, he already did a great job for the investors to secure the money. And now, when you talk about the Indian investors and you give them just the facilities to expand and you secure them investment, you are already attracting them to come, and not just one or two or three line of investment. No, we are talking about over then 26 to 28 categories in the free trade they have owned in the Middle East, and they are targeting you at the country. But we need to do one thing. We need to give these guys what they are already taking in the other countries. Let's see how they are now in UAE. They are putting $55 billion investment. In Egypt they have 3.5 billion. They have in UAE 55,000 companies. They have in Egypt 50 companies. So this two numbers, there is a big gap between the two. Why? Because the UAE government have already given them all the support. So our government need to do the same. We need to follow and support him in each step he take. We need to do the same. We don't need to deal with the investor or the foreign investment as we deal with the local investment. We need to change this in the ministry of in the authority of the investment authority, the Ministry of Investment. We need to give these people the facilities. We need to rebuild the new infrastructure system and how we communicate in the paperwork in technology. Those guys, as what they say in the brief, that there is an Azhar University they are targeting to open in Egypt for the information technology. This is new line, because we know India when it's come to the programming, to the computers, they have did an amazing job and an amazing industry in this line. So we can benefit from giving them facilities. They don't need anything. They just need facilities. They need to trust you as the government that you can secure them. You can provide everything they want to do. Then they will bring them money, small or mid or huge, and then you will have a new era of development. This is what we are aiming, and we are wishing success to our president and his tour in India, and the rule for our country, Egypt, to return back as how it was before. And by God willing and by our belief in him, we will return back, and we are seeking this investment. And by this window, I'm addressing this message: come to Egypt and invest. We are here welcoming all the investors, and our government is working now. We have a lot of change, and we can support anyone. Just you can follow the new news you are seeing about the development in our country, and inshallah it will bring benefit to all of us.
Hopefully.
Ambassador محمد الحسيني, Economic Director of the United Nations Association, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, ma'am.
And with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. You were in the company of Mahesti Rabia and Shireen Adel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahesti, and see you tomorrow, dear viewers, with a new crew.